An extraordinary structure at the Bernheim Arboretum in Kentucky is their new LEED Platinum Visitor Center. Claude Stevens, Director of Education at the Arboretum, tells us all about this new handsome green building.
Thanks for coming out here to Bernheim. We're visiting our LEED Platinum Visitor Center, which is a tremendous accomplishment for us, but also for this whole community in this area, because it's the only LEED Platinum building in a large area around here. And you're here on a really good fall day, so you can kind of see how it's working. It's situated right in a good spot to use nature to help reduce the energy demand on the building. The evergreen screens it in the winter, and the deciduous forest on the south side shades it in the summer, but it allows this beautiful fall and winter sun to come into the building and heat it up. It's built here out of materials that have been used mostly once before, or sometimes several times before, and we actually recreated a 5-acre cypress tupelo swamp on a lake here at Bernheim that pays back that lost carbon and lost habitat that happens when you take apart an ecosystem to build something like a building. The building operates with nature. In fact, nature-based design and thinking about this building like a tree is really one of the really interesting things about this building. First of all, it has a green roof. So we've taken the ecosystems that were on the ground and simply lifted them up into the air. And those green roofs are protecting the building and insulating the building, but it's also holding on to water so that that water evaporates or transpires into the atmosphere slowly, and it doesn't shed it quickly. But when water does shed from the building, on the front side, the north side, it falls into a dry sink, so that water filters into the ground, the soils. On the far side of the building, we take that water and it falls into a cistern where we hold on to that water and use that water for flushing our toilets. On the south side of the building, we take that water and we allow it to flow slowly down through a forested ecosystem so that the natural filtering abilities of that forest cleans the water before it enters a pond. And on this side of the building, right behind me here, is a little raw water pond. It's an ecosystem for fish and insects and amphibians, and birds come down and drink out of it. But it's also a source of water that we can use for irrigating. In green building or sustainable design, there's two concepts that can really help the overall impact of your building on the environment. One is looking where all of your materials come from. That's called looking upstream. That's such things as the cypress wood that I was talking about. But it's also looking downstream. What's going to happen to your building at the end of its lifespan? In nature, there really is no waste. A tree falls in the forest, and then decomposing things break it down and it becomes soil. But typically we build things to stay together, and then to get them apart, we have to tear them apart and we call that waste. Well, we've designed this building so that it has a deconstruction strategy, and you can see the metal plates that hold together the main columns and beams, and even there's wall strategies and things involved so that this entire building, at the end of its lifespan, it can come apart and some future group of people can reapply that embedded energy to do something perhaps better than what we've done. I think one of the really interesting aspects about this building is how, for a large extent, we've gotten out of the way and let nature do what it needs to do with the building. In fact, as the water runs off of the building, it enters these mulch layers down here, and we've inoculated this mulch here and at the edge of our parking lot with oyster mushroom fungi, which break down pollutants that are falling off of the building and the parking lots, things like oils, gases, and tars on the parking lot. So if anything is successful about this building, it's probably in the way that it works with nature. And I think you can actually see that, and that's one of the beautiful things about this building, is that connection between building and nature is beautiful and intuitive.